Let me make sure we're live. There we are. All right. If I sit here, yes, you can see me in the corner. Good deal. We may do some close-ups on the snakes at some point. But hello, Lydia. Mainly, this is going to be a fairly short stream. We're just going to go through, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the snakes in our collection while I weigh them. So, we're going to go to the Animal List and Husbandry Pro. And quick actions. Nope. This activity. All right. Huh. So in Husbandry Pro, in the activity settings, I evidently don't have weight. So let's drop that and do that. Go back to the animal list. And yeah, all right. So we're good to go there. Hey, Matt, hope you're having a great day. I am, Sarah. I finally got a notification on time. Hi, Matt, Arden, and all this. All right, so we're going to pretty much go through these in order, except for the ones that are currently paired. And I'm going to start with, I'll do my best to show off the snakes and talk about them, but mainly I'm just going to be weighing them. So this is Biden. He is one of our breeder males. He is a blackhead lavender albino. And hopefully, you're getting pretty good color there, showing him off. And let's get his weight. 1,109. So he's lost a little during the breeding, but is in really good shape. And I think he's maybe done or nearly done for the season. So we'll put him back up and enter 1,109. I will do my best to check for and answer questions in chat if anybody has specific questions about the snakes or their weights or anything like that. All right, and now I can move this over here and get it out of the way. Does he plan on another 4 years? Yes, I hope he does. Next is going to be Huey. Huey is our leopard het piebald, or was sold to us as a het piebald. We've been breeding him with another snake that's supposedly het piebald, which will prove them both out. But yeah, leopard it darkens the black spots and modifies the pattern so that it's not. I'll show you a normal in a little while and point it out, or what you can see from a normal pattern. But that's leopard, possible het pied. And he is 1,540 grams. So good job, buddy. Here, just go right in there. Nope. Stay in there. So he's at 1,540. And the next one is Ray, but Ray is currently breeding right now, so we're going to skip Ray. And I'm also going to skip anything that's below here. Actually, I should just go kind of in order with what's here and just find them on the list. So Spot is a snake that I got in a, I bought a collection. He's a super pastel spot nose het lavender albino. I have nothing to breed him with right now. He's not part of the breeding plan. And he hasn't eaten once since we got him. Now, they can go off food for a long time, months. And there's a bit of a movement. We've tried a couple different things. He's not eating the rats. He's not eating the mice. But I am going to get some quail chicks, which some have said will work for some. We've tried ASFs. He is really pretty. He's also for sale because I don't have any use for him. But I love the fact you can probably see on his head kind of the spot nosy pattern there. Great looking snake. A little small though. He's 896 grams. So he wouldn't be, I wouldn't be breeding him at that size anyway. But I don't have anything to breed him with. He's not part of the plan. Where are you? Stop that. All right, so 896 for Spot. Find Spot. All right, Mayfield's currently breeding, so I'm going to skip him. Do I have a favorite snake? No, I don't tend to have favorites. I would probably say that the Woma that I've waited 30 some odd years to get is pretty close to my favorite. Honeycomb is another favorite. Let's just weigh Honeycomb now. Come here, Honeycomb. So Honeycomb is an Inchy Champagne Het Piebald that we won in a raffle at one of the local conventions. So Champagne modifies the color and pattern a bit. Inchy modifies the pattern some more. And her Het Pie doesn't do anything. And there's not one of the telltale ringers, although there is a little dip in her pattern close to the tail. But she's not been ready to breed. But she's at 1,200 and... Well, why are you being difficult here? All right, my scale decided to turn off right then. $12.30. That's her weight. But she's one of my favorites because I always loved Champagne. And so $12.30 for Honeycomb. We'll get her weight added. All right, 12:30. Do we have a way to evaluate sugar levels in snakes to determine if they're needing a feed or length of time, not in danger of malnutrition? What we tend to look for, Sarah, is weight. If snakes are incredibly efficient, which is one of the reasons why they can go for many, many, many months, some of them over a year on some occasions. And as long as they're not losing weight or showing other signs that the lack of food has impacted them, there's not much to worry about. But it does still make me nervous when we get somebody who doesn't eat for quite a little while. But honeycomb's a good eater. All right, so we did Biden, honeycomb. We'll do mocha next, and I'll just zigzag all the way up to the top. All right, so mocha. Come here, girl. I know I don't really want to mess with you. I'm not going to show her off too much. She is a Mojave Calico Het Pied, 1650 is her weight. She has 40 millimeter eggs, basically, that we should be getting anytime. So I don't want to mess with her much. All right, next is Ovaltine, who is also really close to laying eggs. Here we go. Ovaltine is a GHI Mojave Fire. We have one snake that's a GHI Mojave, and this one is a GHI Mojave Fire. You can see the color and pattern morphs, and then the lightning that the fire gene does. So what the hell is going on? I want to go downstairs and get the other scale because this thing keeps turning off. 1680. Let's get you back in here. All right, Ovaltine's at 1680. Tubby, and I said I'd show you something that looked normal. She is normal in appearance, but she is heterozygous, which means she carries the genes for both piebald and for caramel albino. But what you're seeing phenotypically with her, because you can't really see the het part, is just a normal looking ball python. She's got some stuck shed. But let's get you in here and get weighed. Evidently, she decided to push a button that changes it to fluid ounces. $21.30. Which means you need to graduate to the bigger tubs. Come on. She was not eating for quite a little while. And we finally figured out that she is a mouser and just loves mice, which means that she's going to be slow to grow. But she's at 21.30 right now and has been eating and locking. And her follicles, I can't look them up right now, but she's been growing follicles pretty well. What the hell is going on with this fucking scale? All right, back to that. Hey, Dark and Dark. All right, so we did Huey. Ray is breeding. We did Spot. Diggle is one of our new baby boys. He won't be ready to breed for a year and some change here, but Diggle is an albino leopard black pastel. Beautiful snake. 352 grams. Good job, buddy. Keep eating. There he is. $352 grams. All right, we did spot. So next to the colors are insanely beautiful. Yeah, and we have a wide variety, but we're doing pretty well as far as focus. A lot of our focus is on Dreamsicle, which is a combination of piebald and lavender albino. But next is Varda. She is a single gene. Hey, girl. Oh, you look so good. You're a little cool, though. She is only yellow belly. And I got her in a package deal with a couple other snakes. And we're using her to prove out whether or not one of our males has yellow belly. You can see the flaming between the alien heads on her sides, and it's pretty significant. So yeah, she is just a yellow belly, so she looks pretty close to normal. That means she's also part of the super stripe complex. All right, let's see if we can get you weighed. 1730. All right, get you back in your tub. Yeah, let go of my hand. 1730 on Varda. So for the question that came in a while ago asking about concerns about them not eating, it's one of the reasons why I weigh them. There's a couple things I do. Probably about once a month I go through and weigh everything, and once every other week we go through all the females and do ultrasounds to check for follicle development. Spot Diggle Blossom. I jumped up a row. Come here, girl. Blossom is a banana, black pastel, mahogany, and she also has some very large follicles right now. Show her off. The banana you can tell from the coloration and from the spots. The mahogany, it does some pattern stuff that I don't know is going to show up on here very well at all. But you can see a little bit of the mahogany and the black pastel, especially in the dot on her head, which I may not be able to get a good shot of. But all right, let's get you weighed. 1,300. So you've lost some weight. She was at 15, went off food, but she's back on food. And she does have follicle development, but I don't know what her status is. So all right, so I will check out her stats after I'm done weighing everybody else. Spot Diggle Blossom Yavanna is next. Yavanna is an Orange Dream Inchy. Come here, girl. Inchy is primarily a pattern morph, but it does add some orange and yellow to it. And then Orange Dream adds some additional orange. So this is an Orange Dream Inchy. Inchy's easy to spot on the pattern. Yeah. I got in the same breeding group as Varda. So yeah, Orange Dream Inchy girl. Let's get you weighed. might have to go down and get the other scale. This one is not cooperating right now. 1590. All right. I bought us a new scale that's a little easier to use, but I was using it for rats and mice and just had this one up here, decided to go with it. All right, Ivana. $15.90. Got any green snakes? Nope. There are no green pythons or green ball pythons. There are green tree pythons, but I don't have any. There's not really any clear green colors within the ball python morphs. And I don't have any of the house snakes that come close to green. And I don't have any corn snakes that come close to green. I don't even know if there is a green in the corns. But, all right, so we did Blossom, Ivana, Varda. Now it's time for Lila. Lila is just an albino female. I say just. She's an especially pretty albino female who has maintained pretty good color. She's going to come off as a little white on this camera. Let's see if we can get your head up there. Yeah. So there's her head. Albino female. Really pretty. I think it looks like she has some inchy in her. The pattern's a little messy, but I'm going to trust the person that bred her and has been breeding her before we got her. Come here. Don't fight me on this. It's really easy. Just sit in the tub. Like that. 2090. 2090. Come on, Lila. Back in your tub. Good job. So Lila is at 2090. So she's also one of our bigger girls. Next would be Cindy, but Cindy and Bam Bam are breeding. I'm going to check on them, see if they're locked. They are not, but they're close to locked. And there's a little poop. So I'm going to move this tag to the middle and come back and clean that up in a bit. Mayfield is breeding with Margarine, although they may not be locked at all. They're at least touching, so we'll skip them. And we will go to Alpine. Hey girl, I'm going to pull your whole tub out. Alpine is our albino pinstripe girl. And you'll be able to quickly tell the difference between her and the regular albino. You can see, I don't know if this is showing up, the yellow line on her that kind of amplifies it, and how reduced the pattern is down to there. I hope that shows up. We're using the Facecam Pro because I don't know where the Facecam was. So we're on there, but yeah, Alpine. Let's get you weighed. $14.98. Yeah, she's basically right at 1,500 grams, which is the ideal breeding weight. She had been bred previously by her previous owner. Put her in as $14.98. Alpine weight $14.98. Click submit and let's see a chat. How about a magic trick with snakes? How about I just weigh them and talk about them and not complicate this? any more than is necessary. So next is Annie Lennox, who will appear normal, but she is heterozygous. Wow. She's heterozygous for piebald and lavender albino, so she's heterozygous for what we call dreamsicle. But just generally looks, visibly, she looks normal. And so that's what you get out of a normal ball python. Let's put you on here. 1763. Maybe one of these days I'll do a cut and restored corn snake. All right. And the last one from the nearly top row here is Aurora Z, who is my breeder boy for our normal albino project, not the lavender albino project. But he's a little more than just albino. He is albino yellow belly. And I hope this shows up on here. The two-tone peach, orange, and yellow that's on there. Let's see if I move this light. If I can get a slightly better look at that with that light. Anyway. This is one that was named by chat. And he's 1578. Really good breeder male. Oh wow, you have a big pile of poop in yours. Let me get rid of that. No. Stay in your tub. I'm trying to clean up your poop. You're the one that made the mess. But I gotta clean it. That's part of husbandry. Alright. Shit, I forgot the weight. Does anybody remember what I said? 1570? Shit, I forgot the weight. How big and what color dragons will you making that lab of yours? I don't have a preferred color, but I'm going to have to weigh Aurora Z again because I forgot the weight. I think it was 1570. Yep, 1570, right on the nose. All right. All right, that takes care of the entirety of the top half of this rack. I'm going to 1763. Nice try, big black Corvette. A snake dropping a snake. That was a different snake, but thanks for trying. Um, Here's the difficult part. I'm going to do the lower part of this rack. Starting with Chandra. Chandra is our Super Orange Dream Inchi. And you'll remember that I said Inchi modifies the pattern and adds a little orange and yellow. This is Super Orange Dream, so she has 2 copies of the Orange Dream thing, which makes her really bright. I hope that's showing up well on camera. When we got her, she weighed about 110 grams or so, I think. And now she is at 670 grams. We got her back in July. She's growing really nicely. Still at least a year and a half on her. 670 grams on Chandra. She needs to be at least 2 years old and 1,500 grams before I'll even think about breeding her. And probably closer to 3 years old. Well, 1,200 is the bare minimum, but for a first-time breeder and everything else, I can't see doing less than 1,500. There's no sense in risking it. And currently, we don't have a breeder project for her. We bought her shortly after we got Skeletor. Didn't have anything to put her with. In this tub, Pinch Me, I can show them both off. They are not currently locked, so I will show and weigh them both. Hey, Ray. Come here, buddy. So this is Ray Comfort, and he's one of our breeders, but he's also decided to stop eating, and he's one of the biggest reasons that I wanted to do weighings. He is Banana, which is the only visual thing you'll see. So you can see from the color and the spots. But he's also het Dreamsicle. He's het Lavender Albino and het Piebald. But you can tell he's getting a little thin. If you look at his back, there's that Ving there. And so, I don't remember what he weighed last time, but yeah, he's still a good weight. He's still 1,640 grams. But they are notorious for potentially breeding themselves to death once breeding season starts. And the females will go off food, but the males will also go off food in what we suspect is something like a sympathetic pregnancy sort of reaction there. But 1,640, and put Ray there. Weight. I'm not going to convert any of these weights. 1 pound is about 470 grams or so. So you can do the math yourself. And he's a little under 10 pounds. Or sorry, a little under 4 pounds. So that was Ray. The next one to weigh here is Pinch Me, who is a leopard pinstripe that Ray was breeding with. They were locked just the other day. She went off food shortly after we started breeding. I love her. She was an inexpensive snake, considering she was already at breeding size when we got her. I love pinstripe. You can see how it really expands the alien heads to where there's just like a little pinstripe line between them now. And it adds some gold. So much like Inchi and several other genes, it adds some yellow and gold there. So Pinch Me. Damn it. So somehow or another, come here. No. Stay in the tub. 1830. She's doing really good. 1830. We'll put Pinch Me back up. Keep building some eggs. I will be I'll be ultrasounding you next week. 1830. Get that entered before I forget it. So Arden's out of town, doing some work and visiting her sibling. And so, yeah. Yeah, the snake is named Ray Comfort because he's the banana man. Does Ray Comfort know about Ray Comfort? I don't know. I haven't talked to him. What kind of meds for maintenance or emergency do you keep on hand? I don't currently keep any meds for maintenance or emergency on hand. We keep, not medications, I keep an ivermectin solution to potentially treat mites if we get them. We keep cleaning solutions and things like that. But right now, at this point, if anything happens, if there's a respiratory infection, we would need to take somebody and get a vet to look at them. Because I'm not a vet. I put my iced tea over in the corner, so I had to go get it. I don't know what we would keep on hand if we had a history of respiratory infections. I mean, we keep mite treatment stuff here, which I guess could potentially count as medication. I view it probably more as like first aid. But is there something you think we should keep on hand, Sarah? Because if so, I'm happy to get it. This is Baby. Come here, girl. You are so pretty. She is a het. She's normal looking. She is het for lavender albino and possibly het for piebald. She has some big blushing, which makes me suspect that there's some yellow belly in the mix. But for now, we're going with what we were told. And she is 1,180 grams. So she was at 1,250 or so before. Maybe we'll get to breed her next year. She was part of a package group. Mm-hmm. 1180. Nope, just starting. Cool. The next one is Gaga. She is the only spider ball python that we have in the collection. Come here, girl. Are you in shed too? We're not breeding her, partially because we decided we were not going to breed spiders. For the longest time, I love the Lucas spider. It looks like calico pinstripe, essentially. It does this pinstriping, which is kind of give it a spider web look, which is how it got its name. And then it has the pixelated blushing up the side like you'd find with calicos. But for the longest time, people thought the spider morph had a neurological order that they would call a wobble. And recently, a study shows that there's no reason to think that there's actually a neurological disorder, because one of the things that the spider morph does is it modifies the inner ear canal in a way that messes with their balance. And she's just beautiful and a great eater, like all the spiders are. And so it's nice to know that there's not a neurological issue that she's suffering from, apart from getting confused about what direction's up and everything else, like anybody else who had an inner ear problem. She's great. We're not breeding her. First of all, she's underweight, 1139, but also because we're not interested in breeding spiders right now, and maybe never. But I always like to let people know that the fears about neurological conditions currently aren't supported. Gaga is 1139. So that one's just basically a pet, not a breeder snake. I'm going to jump out of this with a lisp. Nice. How would you detect a respiratory infection in snakes? Do they cough, sneeze, or wheeze? Oh, that was an answer to that question. What you'll see, and I haven't had to experience this firsthand yet, but what you'll tend to see is like bubbles blowing around the nostrils. You can also, it's one I can't. I'm not in a position to diagnose it most of the time. But if we suspect a respiratory infection, what we're likely to see is like bubbles or snot around the nose, and some changes in the snake's behavior, whether or not they're likely to eat, etc. And when we notice that, we'll be taking them to the vet. Most of our collection, there's 56 snakes. Most of our collection are ball pythons, but we do have 3 African house snakes, and they are the next ones to get weighed. So we're going to start with Dunning. Come here, boy. Dunning is a male black African house snake. We got these as a gift, essentially. The black one and the brown one, or the first black one and the first brown one. They are just awesome. Like, I've always dealt with pythons. I prefer pythons. I used to recommend pythons as like the best starter snake. This may, in fact, be the best starter snake. You're not going to get as wild and crazy morphs for some of these, but they are a dream to handle. They see how he's just wrapped around my hand? They are very passive. They're not prone to biting. I think they're gorgeous. They are pretty good eaters and really easy to hang on to. As a matter of fact, it's going to be hard to get him off my hand to weigh him. But 77 grams. He's not near to his breeding weight yet. But as the boy, you can go a little lower, but his girlfriend's not ready yet either. But 77 grams on Dunning. Can anybody guess what we named the brown African house snake? Do they behave differently during severe storms? I honestly haven't noticed anything. What I have noticed is that when there's going to be a big storm and the barometric pressure changes, that's when I want to breed them because they are more prone to locking up around the vicinity of the storm. Kruger, of course, Kruger. So Dunning is our black African house snake male. Kruger, come here, buddy, is our brown one. Wow. Who seems to be in shed. Yeah, he's in shed. He's having a little bit of a rough shed. Oh, boy. All right. I'll give you a good look at him. So, brown African house snake. He's got a nice stripe, goes about halfway down the body and then begins to fade out. He's got kind of the TIE Fighter X, but not as clear as the Togo stripe variety has. At least that's my limited understanding right now. So let's weigh him. 70 grams. He is a picky eater. And we need to get a little more humidity in with him, so I'll make a note of that as well. All right. And our final African house snake is Sabrina. She is Dunning's girlfriend. And so she's a black, hey girl, black African house snake. She is noticeably bigger than he is. And so if he weighed 77 grams, I'm going to bet she might be over 100 now. It's really hard to tell at these weights. I'm really good at weighing our rats and mice just by looking at them. But so this is another black African house snake named Sabrina. This may be the only snake in our collection that we know was wild caught. We don't ever want wild caught, and I recommend nobody get wild caught. We're not looking to impact the environment, and you don't know what you're going to get. And you could get something that's infected. You get something that's damaged in many different ways. It's just not healthy. Always better to buy from breeders. Yeah, she's 103 grams. Yep. But we got her essentially as kind of a rescue, and paid a very small rehoming fee. And we haven't even bothered to sex her yet. I've got some probes, but we're not in a hurry because she's only 103 grams. We've got to get her up more before we can breed her. So right now, the house snakes are just really wonderful pets. They're incredibly easy to handle. And despite the fact that she was wild caught, you can see that she's just as easy to handle, if not easier, than the boys are. And the boys were captive bred, or at least that's what we were told. All right. The final snake on the lower portion of this rack is a snake that's only in here temporarily. I am redoing his enclosure downstairs right now. So I've kept him protected from heat. And he gets moved to his new enclosure this weekend. Hey, buddy. This is Steven. He is a amelanistic, hypomelanistic, stripe corn snake. He is absolutely gorgeous. And one of my favorite things about him, if you look underneath his head, you'll see that he's very, very white at the top, and that the white fades down to kind of a peach color and orangish at the tail. Hi. I know you want to come give me a kiss and you want to climb up my glasses just like you do with Arden. He's really fun to handle. He doesn't run as much as the other corn snakes do. And I can't wait. He's got a bioactive enclosure that's downstairs in the garage right now with the final back wall being done. And he's going to be displayed in the living room with the other corn snakes. Just genuinely one of my favorites. I mean, I don't have a favorite, but I have some that I really, really like. And he's definitely one of them. All right, so let's get you weighed. Come here. I'm going to set you down right here. 322. And he's already breeding. He breeds with Peaches, who is an amelanistic stripe, we think. She was a Craigslist rescue that was one of the prettiest snakes I'd ever seen, but they weren't completely sure on her genetics. So we're eyeballing it, and we're bringing her to him so we can verify those genes. But Peaches is 322. Or sorry, Steven is 322. Your weight here, and I will check chat again. All right, now I'm going to do the other lower level tubs that it's going to require me to move my little Chromebook out of the way. And then I will check chat. Incredible burnt orange color. He's not, I realize it may look that way, and, you know, it's not that close to burnt orange. It's actually a really reddish, well, I guess that would be kind of a burnt orange, but it's more vibrant. As someone who lives in Texas and, you know, here is next to UT, the burnt orange that I'm used to seeing is a slightly red-brown orange, whereas this is a more bright red orange. But yes, he's gorgeous. Hey, Matt. Hey, Arden at Epic Loot Exotics. Hi. I will pass along your hello to Arden. I'm going to grab my iced tea real quick, so excuse me cutting in front of the camera. Arden is out of town, so I'm here alone and bored, which is one of the reasons why I decided to pick tonight to go live and weigh some snakes and talk to y'all. "3 a.m. Ryan says have. Is that a grammar correction, or did you hit enter too fast? All right. Our next ball python, because we're getting back to balls. Hey, buddy. This is Skeletor, and he's the one that started all this off. We got him last June. I got him as an anniversary present for Arden. He is a 5-gene snake, and I will run through these, and then I will pull him up and show you. You're not going to be able to tell them all visually from the camera. But he is banana, which you can tell from the coloration. He is spot nose, which you can tell both from the patterning thing and the skull marking on his head. He is yellow belly, which you can tell from the flaming in between there and the pixelization down there. He is also lesser, which I've got a visual lesser I can show you. You can compare this to a regular banana. He doesn't really have any spots. It's awesome. So, and he's fire. So he is lesser fire, which is nuclear. So he's a nuclear banana spot nose yellow belly. And that is a 5-gene incomplete palm. There needs to be a light over there. That's part of the problem. Let me pull him out here, but can you see the skull on his head maybe? But he's got little bones on the dorsal part of his back. And because of that, we named him Skeletor. When we got him, Arden immediately said she wanted to breed him because we hadn't gone over why we couldn't yet. And so I let her know he needs to be 1.5 years old and 900 grams maybe. And he is now at 600 grams, 597. We'll keep it accurate and not round up. 597 grams. So next year, we fully expect to be able to breed him, provided he has sperm plugs. All right, Skeletor. 597 grams. All right, let's see. Banana colored, but not banana flavored. Yes. Habanero orange. Yes, 3 a.m. Ryan. That's probably a better description for Steven. We named him Steven because we were watching Arrow at the time, and you'll see when I get to the hognose, we named some of our hognose snakes after characters on Arrow. But because he's amelanistic, which would be amel, we named him after Stephen Amell, or Amel. I honestly can't remember how to pronounce his name. I've been corrected on it 20 times. Why do some snakes have chubbier tails than others? Well, it's because they don't have pockets. So for ball pythons, they have very short tails. And you can't tell the sex of the snake from the tail with ball pythons. You can with the house snakes and corn snakes and things like that. You can do a pretty good job of estimating the sex by the length of the tail. And to measure the tail, you're going to go from the cloaca, or the little flap where there are usually spurs, and that's where the hemipenes are. It's where they mate. It's where they pee and poop and everything comes out of there. So you can comparatively look at tails on corn snakes, and the longer tails tend to be, I'm going to get this wrong because I have probes, tend to be males, because that's where the deeper probing is for the males. But the longer, narrower tail for house snakes is female, I think. But we'll have to double check. All right, so that was Skeletor. This is Sunny Boy. He is a new... hey, buddy. I know I don't mean to wake you up, but I'm sorry. It's time for you to get woken up. He is a new snake that basically we're going to try to do a good enough job breeding and get enough money to buy him a girlfriend ready to go in about 2 years, because he's a very young boy who's deep in shed right now. He is inchy. That's the only truly visible part, but also het sunset. And If I were to try and find a breeder-ready sunset girl for him, I would have to spend $3,000 or $4,000. So, worst case, we may end up getting a het sunset female in a couple of years. But yeah, he's Inchy het sunset, and he's pretty young. But is it 300 grams exactly? So he's growing up for us pretty good. That's Sunny Boy, 300 grams. I did round up on him. He was technically $2.99, but it was much easier for me to remember 300 grams. Snakes that are native to more arid environments have evolved to store fat in their tails. All right. So we did Skeletor, we did Sunny Boy, and now I'm doing Ronald. Hi, Ronald. How you doing? You look like you're hungry. And perhaps a little antsy. You get food in a couple of days. Ronald is our first clown morph, and he is a lesser clown. And so you can see how lesser really lightens up the more closer to banana. An actual normal lesser is not this male. That's basically, this is lesser amplified by the clown gene, which is a pattern morph that amplifies different aspects of the morph and then makes the alien heads kind of wonky and gives a nice clean outline to them and gives a really cool pattern on the head. Thanks for zooming in, buddy. But yeah, we named him Ronald. And he's 413 grams. I have a girlfriend for him, and if he grows up enough, next year he'll get to breed. I got him a girlfriend recently, which will show this weekend as they're coming out of quarantine. But Ronald, weight, 413 grams. This is a really slow process, but it's too chill for me. I'm going to go to bed. Good night, Dargendorp. What regs do you guys have in Texas for reptiles? That's way too complicated to go into. You can look for the whitelist and blacklist. All I know is that I've gone through the list and everything that we have is allowed. And Texas is one of the states that's pretty open on reptiles. There are, for the big snakes, there are some permits I think you have to get now. But I'm going to skip Chani just because she will either bite me or she will grip onto my hand so tightly and not let go that it'll just be a pain and slow everything down further. But we'll get back to her when Arden's here. We've got two of us. This is Spinach. He is a super pastel Inchy GHI. Come here. Really pretty snake. I have nothing to do with him. He's not in our breeding program like Spot. He is also for sale. Super pastel Inchy GHI. He is also, along with his partner Spot, he's right at 999. He has been a terrible eater. So we're going to try some creative ways with them to see if we can get them to eat a little bit. I don't want to sell a snake that's not eating, so we may just be stuck with him for quite a little while. But spinach weighs 999, which should be just about the same as last time since he hasn't eaten. Charlie is, I told you earlier, we got Varda, who's the yellow belly, because we wanted to test out to see if a particular male had the yellow belly gene as well. This is that male. Charlie is Inchy, Orange Dream, and possibly yellow belly. If there's anybody here who really knows ball python morphs, you'll get a good look at this. The Inchy part is obvious. The Orange Dream is obvious. And I think that this blushing and pixelation down here, I think it screams yellow belly, but they didn't want to list it as yellow belly because they hadn't bred him to prove it out. By the way, there is genetic testing now for a number of different genes. You can send a shed off and pay to get it tested, but I mean, I would bet a sizable chunk of cash that he will prove out to be yellow belly. And the way we'll do that, he is 1,210 grams. No, don't try and get away. The way we do that is we breed him with a snake that we know is yellow belly. And if she has any, shit, I forgot the weight. I have to do this again. I think it's 1,250, but 1,205. 1,205. All right. If she has any snakes that are completely white, then we will have proven that both of them have yellow belly. 1,205 grams for Charlie. Yellow belly is part of the super stripe complex, and when you have two copies of the yellow belly gene, what you get is a blue-eyed leucistic snake. So you get a white snake with blue eyes. And if we get one of those out of this pairing between Charlie and Ivana, then we'll know that they both carry yellow belly. Let's see. Matt, do you ever do some photography on these beauties? Yes, we have a white box, and I've got my Blackmagic Cinema Pro 4K and a Lumix GH5 that we're going to use. We did do some shots, but we haven't posted them really anywhere yet. Okay, the next one is Al. And I've named him Al because I wanted to remember that we specifically got him to work on allelic combinations. He is a super vanilla, orange dream, yellow belly male. What you're mainly able to see is super vanilla. But vanilla is in the black-eyed leucistic complex. He's 847 grams. 847? Go ahead, Al. My phone is beep buzzing. So let me get Al's weight entered. $847 grams. So Al is in the black-eyed leucistic. Well, vanilla is in the black-eyed leucistic complex. And yellow belly, as we already mentioned, is in the super stripe complex. And I found just about the perfect snake, which I'll be purchasing on Monday and getting shipped here next week. It is a pastel lemonback gravel female that is already at breeding weight. Now, pastel is good. It does kind of like a pale yellow color, adds to that stuff, brightens some stuff up. Lemonback is in the black-eyed leucistic complex along with vanilla. So because every snake that Al produces will have vanilla since he's super vanilla, what we will get is possible vanilla lemonbacks out of that pairing. But because Al is also yellow belly and this girl is gravel, that means we will get potential highways because yellow belly and gravel produce highways, which I'll show in a later stream. But that means we could have pastel, vanilla, orange dream highways just out of those two snakes. So, all right, this next one is not a ball python, it's a Woma. And it's my friendly Woma. Hey, buddy. What are you doing? You are right up at the front. He's a very chill snake. You watch, I'll probably get bit for saying that, but god damn it. This is an Australian python, captive bred here in the United States because you can't export from Australia. But very good male that I was told would breed a stick. I got him to breed with my other Woma. Come here. I'm just going to do a quick wait. Just a quick wait. Come on. 12:45. But he is a beautiful snake. Very peaceful. If I pulled out the other Woma, you'd see a massive, massive difference in their behavior. She is very clingy and bitey. You can see the orange underneath on his ventral scales up by the head, fading to white or fading to a lighter orange at the tail. So kind of the opposite of what we saw that corn snake doing. But yeah, that's this is one of my prize snakes because I wanted a Woma for years and years and years, and now I have two of them. Hi, buddy. I'm gonna put you up. I know you're probably hungry. You didn't eat the last time we offered you, so we'll give you something on Sunday. And 12:45. Okay. Can we get an audio download of Arden doing a line from Married with Children talking to Al? Huh. I kind of doubt it, but we'll see. All right. There are about 9 more ball pythons over in the other rack right now. No, there are. Yeah, there are 9. But before I weigh them, I need to weigh our hognose snakes. So we're going to start up top with Speedy. All right, Speedy is a super anaconda albino western hognose snake and is often difficult to find. So let me look on the bottom. There you are. Come here, girl. There we go. You get her weight first. 33 grams. And then I'll show her off just because she's gorgeous and really friendly. 33 grams. Super Anaconda, which reduces the pattern to almost nothing. And then Albino, which is what gives us this kind of orangish color. She is the most chill of all of our hognose snakes. What did I say our weight was? 33, 34 grams? Shit, now I gotta do it again. 34. All right. 34 grams for her. All right, let's see. Yeah, the hognose snakes are really good texture. All right, there are 3 more hognose snakes down here. My room is a little cramped. So move my step ladder out of the way. And man, it's warm in here too. I mean, we already knew that because it's the snake room. Okay. All right. We don't have this one labeled, but I'll know it when I see it. Yeah, you're over in that corner. All right. Come here, buddy. Yeah. Let's get a weight for you. 40. This is, I believe, Legolas. Let me double check my list. Nope. No, maybe so. This is Legolas. He is a lavender Western hognose. And he weighs 40 grams. Whoa. Okay. This one already made me nervous because this tub was not closed all the way. Not enough room, I don't think, for him to actually get out, or her to get out. I don't even know who's in here. Let's see if we can find who's in here. There we go. Come here. This. Good job. You're fine. Don't throw a hissy fit. Literally hissy. 14 grams. This is Lilith. She should be an Arctic het lav. But I will check her in a second. All right. Yeah, she's an Arctic het lavender. I'm going to add her weight as 14 grams. And the last hognose is Arsenal. Which is a normal red phase. So there's no special genetics. He is just a red phase hognose. Are you in there? Nope, you're not. So gotta find him, and then I need to take a restroom break. Are you underneath this? There you are. Come here. There we go. So this is a normal Western hognose that is red phase. So he's a little more red than brown. He's about 2 years old, but evidently was not power fed or anything. This is only 38 grams or 39 grams. So I'll get his weight added. Go ahead, bud. All right. That's back in there. 39 grams. All right, let me take a quick restroom break, and when I come back, we'll do the last 9 of the ball pythons. And we'll have weights for everybody except for the ones that are breeding. Be right back. All right, 9 snakes left to be done. And we're going to start off with Polly, who is Pewter, which is just pastel cinnamon. And she just shed. Come here, girl. So nice. So I will add a note that she just shed. I love the way Pewter looks. Cinnamon is beautiful. You mix it with pastel and you get this kind of coppery look. You just need to relax for a second. Come here. $22.45. She's a pretty good sized girl. $22.45. $22.45 and a completely clean one-piece shed. Nice. Good job, Polly. I'm going to mark her shed. We'll mark her weight. $22.45. The next one is Shadow, who is just cinnamon. So the one you just saw was cinnamon pastel, and this one is just cinnamon. So you'll see how she's just a normal color, but darker and red. And she just shed as well. Come here, girl. You look great. You look so pretty with your fresh shed. Get that off. All right. Yeah. Hang on. I'm going to show you off on screen, and we're going to weigh you and then put you back. So this is my cinnamon girl. And you can tell because the stripes near the eyes are pretty much gone, and her color has this kind of reddish brown in the highlighting or in the dark spots along her back and everything else. You're a chunk. You are $25.73. You are going to give us a truckload of eggs after we get you bred. $25.73. Now, she's not going to produce any amazing snakes, nothing like a dreamsicle or anything else. But I love cinnamon, and we're using her to prove out some other stuff. $25.73 for Shadow. Where's Shadow? Right there. I probably should clarify what I mean by using her to prove stuff out, because she's not het for anything, so that's not what we're proving. Get this shed marked and we'll be good. So one of the most important snakes that you can have in a good large breeding collection is just a normal, something that doesn't have any of these genes. No cinnamon, no orange dream, no inchy, no nothing. And because if you get a snake that, like Skeletor, is a 5-gene snake, it would be nice to breed him to a normal so that you can get genes out of there. If you wanted, for example, instead of he's banana spot nose, yellow belly, lesser fire. If you didn't want the spot nose in there, you could breed them with the normal and hope to get the 4 gene hit out of it. I don't have any normal females, but Shadow is a cinnamon, which will work good. Like you get a cinnamon banana out of it and everything else. But also, we're breeding her with Bam Bam, who is our pastel cinnamon. So he's pewter, just like Polly, who is het black axanthic. We don't care about the het black axanthic part, but when we get super cinnamons out, we'll be able to test that. Or not test it. That was just my brain saying something stupid. Super cinnamons have a value for us in potentially working on gray matters at some point. Do these snakes not have fangs and bite? Correct. They don't have fangs. They have a mouth, though, and anything with a mouth can bite. It's just these snakes don't bite. Very, very unlikely to bite. Now I got to listen to Cinnamon Girl. I hear you. I listen to it almost every time I pick one of them up. Typo negative or Lana Del Rey? Typo negative. So not the Neil Young one. You're going newer than that. All right. Next is Pebbles. Pebbles is freaking huge. She is a pastel inchy butter. Butter is also called lesser. So P-E-B-L, pastel inchy butter lesser is how she got her name. She is big. And I mean big. Like she's the second largest snake we have as far as weight. So you can see here pastel inchy butter. You can see all of those. The inchy isn't as obvious on her, but it's there. And yeah, she is going to weigh, I'm going to guess 3,600 grams. We'll see, maybe more. 3520. 3520. And just, I mean, look at her. And she is close to giving us eggs too. I think she was at 40 millimeter when I last checked. Come on. So we'll get her weight put in. 3520 for Pebbles. All right, the next one is Brittany Bitch. The handle on that table catches my shirt all the time. Okay. Come here. Brittany Bitch is also a big girl. She looks normal, although I will say she has the most interesting normal pattern components of any snake in our collection. But she has het dreamsicle. She's het for piebald and lavender albino. This is a snake that we got from Tom Harvin. She's in shed. She has some of the coolest normal pattern things on there. There's a letter C right there. There's also a sperm. Like, if you told me this was some gene that nobody had identified yet that does really cool pattern morphs, I would believe you. All right, let's get you in here real quick. 2875. 2875. Beautiful, beautiful snake. Just really, and she's in shed. She'd look better if she wasn't in shed, but I can't wait until we see what kind of babies we get out of her. We've been breeding her with Ray, so a banana dreamsicle would be ideal. Crap, I forgot the weight. I think it was 2570. I knew I was going to do that. That's what happens when you start talking. It's all right. We can set her on there again. No. 2875. 2875. All right, go back in your tub. Good job. 28.75. We are almost done. Five more snakes to go. Next one is Ariana, and she is a pewter piebald. And she is a massive, she has been pounding 3 to 4 rats a week as she is fully building follicles. She is a very high white piebald. You can still see the pewter very clearly on her head, pewter being pastel and cinnamon, so you see the slightly reddish brown. She only has one saddle, but here, let's check your weight. 29.60. 29.60. She's 29.60. She's going to give us some really good babies. 29.60 for Brittany. Or, shit, I just put that on the wrong snake. All right, so we're going to go back to Brittany. That was Ariana. So Ariana is 29.60. We have 4 left to do. She's my favorite of the ones I've seen. Okay. A lot of people love piebald. Do snakes have albino ones? Yes, I already showed off. If you go back and rewind, I showed off Lila and Alpine, both of whom are albino. One's regular albino, one's albino pinstripe, and Aurora Z is albino yellow belly. And then there's Mayfield, who I didn't show, and Margarine that I didn't show. But yeah, I got 56 snakes, so you can go back and watch earlier. Yes, Ariana is piebald, pewter piebald. The next snake is Nesquik. She's GHI Mojave, and she is very pregnant. Last I checked her, she was just at 40 millimeter follicles. I'm only going to give her a quick weight. I'm not going to show her off on stream too much because I don't want to disturb her. But $19.99. She is beautiful and chunky. And evidently she's getting ready to party because she's $19.99. Nesquik, $19.99. Okay. Next is Newest, who is no longer the newest snake, but I was at least optimistic. So Newest is a pastel het lavender albino. And Newest is also a little touchy. Although she didn't hiss at me like she normally does. She likes to hiss a little bit. But you can see her pastel. That's all you're going to see as far as visual, because you can't see the het lavender albino, but she is a pastel het lav. And she is 1,873, 1873. Right, 1873 for Newest. there's only 2 more snakes we're actually going to do today. The next one is Starlight. So what I just showed you, newest, visually all you could see was that she was pastel. Starlight, the next one I'm going to show you, is super pastel. And because she has 2 copies of the pastel gene, every baby that she produces will be pastel. And you can see how much the super pastel kind of lightens her up. 2370. All right, go ahead. All right, and I saved what I think is our heaviest snake for last. And Laverne is a lavender albino pinstripe female that is crazy heavy. Like, really heavy. Like, so, lavender albino pinstripe. I hope it shows up on camera because she's absolutely gorgeous. And she's got a big fat head. Got just a little bit of dirt sticking to her. Let's get her weighed. Well, you gotta let go of my hand, honey. 3840, 3837. 3837. She is ginormous. Hi. I wish this was showing up better on camera. Oh, there you can see it a little bit. That's lavender albino pinstripe. She is so pretty. And I'll show you the difference. Well, you can go back and rewind and see Alpine, who is regular albino pinstripe. So you can see a regular albino pinstripe, which is slightly oranger, and this lavender albino pinstripe. She's huge. 3837. All right, let me put you back. So big she has to bump the camera getting in and out. 3837 for Laverne. I get exercise just picking her up. $38.37. All right, so let me make a camera adjustment here. All right. Hi. That's not every snake. There are 4 snakes in here that we did not weigh today because they're currently breeding. Actually, let me. The camera may well fall off the tripod while I'm doing this, but all right. So there are 4 snakes in here that we didn't weigh because they're currently breeding, although none of them are locked. Margarine, who's just a lesser, we named her Margarine because lesser and butter are the same, is currently paired with our visual dreamsicle male. Mayfield is a lavender albino piebald, which is a dreamsicle. They, I don't think, locked at all. And the only thing that they would produce, margarine was like an extra snake. I bought several in some groups, so where I've got extras. But there's no reason not to breed her, because then you get normals and lessers that are going to be het for dreamsicle, because Mayfield is visual dreamsicle. If they're not paired right now, I'll just pull him out. Yeah, they're not linked. They're not locked. All right. Let me go ahead and, I guess I'll do the weights on them. Okay. Mayfield is 1122. Give me a minute, I'll show him off real quick. So this is a visual dreamsicle male. So he is visual lavender albino and visual piebald. And 1122 for him. We weigh her 1470. Lost a little bit. All right, let me enter those and I'll finish my thought. Well, if Bam Bam and Cindy aren't locked, I might as well unpair them because it's basically Friday. So let me take a look at them. Okay. So Bam Bam, it's 1070. Visually, he's just a pewter. And Cindy, come here. She is a Super Cinnamon Mojave Hidden Gene Woma. Although it's very hard to tell. 1680. All right, now that I've unpaired them, I moved her tag to the middle because there was some poop in here I needed to get. And now we've done that cleanup as well. All right, so now every snake in this room except for Chani, who is my fairly bitey female Woma, has been weighed. There are 4 more snakes down in quarantine. They have 1 week left in quarantine that haven't been weighed. since we got them. We will weigh them when we take them out of quarantine to see if they lost any weight in the 4 weeks that they were in quarantine. Those really are some of the best snakes that we have. You go back to the live stream that we posted, which has those 4 snakes. There's pull up my list here and tell you what they are. They are Demi, who is an Orange Dream piebald het lavender albino. Ellie, who is a pastel lavender albino that is het piebald. Clarabelle, who is a pastel clown visual. And Taylor, who is yellow belly, het piebald, het lavender albino, and possibly het desert ghost, the only desert ghost that we have in our, or even possible het desert ghost that we have in our collection. Those 4 will get weighed next week when they come out of quarantine. We'll also do ultrasounds then on all the females to get an update of where we are in the breeding cycle. I'm going to take a minute here to drink some tea and answer some questions. But first I'm going to check my phone because there's some messages on my phone, probably from my lovely partner. No, it's from Jimmy Snow, who's my other lovely partner. All right. We also purchased okay. Let's see. The bird's almost out already. Yeah. Are these names or distinctions on colors something you get to decide are already established in snake breeding? They're already established. If you discover a new morph, you get to name it. It was just a text message from him, Sarah. I'm not having a talk with him. I assume that different snake kinds have different numbers of vertebrae. I have no clue. Some of them may have the same numbers. Some of them may have different numbers. I really don't know. I am not a vet, nor am I an expert on snake anatomy. But, all right. It's really hot in here, and I got the weighings done. So, as I clean up the last few things here in the room, if you have last-minute questions about the weighings, the snakes, what our breeding plans are, anything at all related to Epic Loot Exotic business, I will happily do my best to answer them. If you have questions for other things that I do, let's save those for some day or time when I'm working on those things. So basically all of my other projects, let's just not bother with that today. Do you have any cobras or other exotic pets? Well, all of these technically are exotic pets, but I don't have any cobras. And technically, hognose snakes are venomous. It's just that their venom is pretty much harmless to humans. If they bite you and you're a frog, you're in big trouble. But yeah, hognose are the only even technically venomous snakes I have, but they're considered harmless for humans, and so they are not on the hot list the way rattlesnakes, cobras, other deadly venomous snakes are. And I don't have any of those. I had a rattlesnake in my garage for a little while a few years ago, but that was just one I rescued and released. I don't like to keep venomous snakes. We do have some of our isopods in here. We're getting ready to have a new rack in the other room, which I'm picking up hopefully tomorrow, and probably about 8 more species of isopods. But we have 5 species of isopods right now. Let's see if I can get a good picture of this. This is that is a Montenegro clown isopod right there. And there's probably 50 of them in here, along with springtails. We also have orange Dalmatians, magic potions, dairy cows, and red lava, and we're going to be having a bunch more, but we'll do separate videos on the isopods. Long term for your breeding females, retirement when they age out. I honestly don't completely know. Most of the females can breed at least to like 10 to 15 years. When we get females that no longer fit in with, or males or females that no longer fit in with our breeding plans, if they're still good breeders and have a lot of life left in them, we'll probably sell them off to other breeders. That's what I've done. Almost every single snake you saw here that is breeder size, I bought at breeder size or within a couple 100 grams of it. The only snakes that we bought as babies were Diggle, Skeletor, Chandra, Sunny Boy, and Ronald. And they are all for future projects a year or two down the line. Is this for business to sell or just pleasure? Well, I'm definitely going to be selling. The plan is to eventually build it into a business because I don't have any retirement. So my retirement is going to be sitting around in a chair playing with snakes and running the snake business with Arden. So I would say it's a business, except that technically we haven't made any money off of it yet. And we won't really break even for the first 2 years. But we have, I mean, you're here at Epic Loot Exotics channel. There's, you can like, subscribe, and you'll get updates, and we'll have live stuff. We should be getting eggs almost any day from Mocha, Nesquik, Ovaltine, and Blossom. And I've got my incubator built down in the garage, and it's already up and running at a rock solid 89 degrees. So how do you manage their temperature? The rack, let me see if I can get this camera up there. Right there is a thermostat that controls the probes. The probe's measuring 91 and 93 degrees right now, but the temperature inside the tubs is actually like right at 90. Underneath each of these tubs in the back is basically a heat strip panel. Each row has its own outlet, and so they're all managed over there. And the thermostat can control when to turn them off and on so that they stay at exactly the right temperature. Most excited morph to develop yourself for sale in the future. Lavender dreamsicle. Well, the dreamsicle is lavender piebald. Getting a banana dreamsicle the first year would be great because the breeder pair that we got for that are Ray, who's our banana het dream, and Brittany, who is a het dream. Both of those snakes came from Tom Harbin, and even though he bred them several times and got many dreamsicles, he never got a banana dreamsicle. So hitting a banana dreamsicle would be great. There are a few others. Mayfield is breeding to Annie Lennox, who's a het dreamsicle, and there's an orange dream pied het lab downstairs, which we won't be able to breed this year. So it'll be next year we can get orange dream dreamsicles, and we can also get yellow belly dreamsicles. And yeah, those would be the best ones. Basically, different varieties of dreamsicle are the big ones. I would really like to find a cinnamon champagne female or male, sorry, to breed with our super cinnamon female so that we can get gray matters. But everybody I talk to who's tried breeding gray matters calls it a heartbreaking project because it's very difficult to get it out and they're prone to kinking and other problems. So we decided not to go down that path this year. Instead, what we're doing is breeding the known goods, and there's a couple that we need to prove out. But for example, we need to find out if Charlie is yellow belly or not, so we're breeding him with Varda so that if we get any white snakes, we've proved them both as yellow belly. Huey is our leopard, supposedly het pied, and Tubby is a het pied. And so we're breeding them together. If we get any piebald, we have proven both of these out as het piebalds. So that's the big things for this year. Actually, honestly, the biggest thing for this year is to actually produce any babies. I'll take whatever we get. I've spent a great chunk of cash, but I didn't really spend all that much because the rack was used, and most of the snakes were from people who were getting out of the business. And so I got some incredibly good deals. Like last month, I paid $2,000 for about $5,000 worth of snakes. And so the first time we have babies, those things are all going to be paid for. I mean, no matter what comes out of them, they're good enough that those will be paid for. And I'd like to build up to having a really good breeding facility. I'd like to get some high-end stuff going. We have the Het Sunset male. I'd like to get some sunsets. Killer says, what got you into snakes? Was it from a young age? Yeah, I wanted snakes, but couldn't really have them when I was young. I got my first snakes when I was about 18, when I joined the Navy. Maybe 19. Matter of fact, it probably had to be when I was 19 because I was 18 through boot camp, and I don't think I know I didn't get a snake until after I was in the Navy for about a year. So 19, almost 20. And back then I wanted to breed ball pythons because the first morphs had come out. This is late 80s, early 90s. And at the time, you had normals and you had albinos and piebalds that were going for like $15,000 each. And I was really thinking, and if I had gotten involved in breeding then and stuck with it, I'd easily be one of the biggest breeders on the planet now because there's not a lot of guys that have been doing that for all those years. So yeah, I wanted to do it then, but I was in the Navy. I didn't own a house. Places that I rented didn't want you to have snakes. And if you're going to have snakes, in order to make it cost effective, you need to be breeding their food. So downstairs in my garage right now, I have a rat colony and a mouse colony to make the feeding of these snakes free. As a matter of fact, the rats and mice actually make money. I produce enough that I can sell off some to a pet store that pays for the food for the rats. So the rats cost me nothing, They make enough to pay for their food and the water and the electricity. They make enough to feed all of these, and they make enough to pay for the electricity for the snakes. So keeping the rats makes these completely neutral. I have zero expenses after purchasing them. But this rack has room for 40, and that rack has room for 10. And after we pull the ones out of quarantine, these racks will all be full, and I won't have any more space for ball pythons and stuff. I have a number of like corn snakes in enclosures in the living room and things like that. And then the hognose are in those tubs. So we'll need to get another rack next year. What you see behind me is the 39 tub hatchling rack that we got used from somebody who got out of the business. And most of these were never used. They had a couple of leopard geckos in one, I think, and no snakes. And then they got out of the business and put it in a barn. And these are just 6-quart Sterilite tubs. And you fit 39 of them in this rack. The rack also has heat and a Vivarium Electronics VE200 thermostat. There's 2 different types of thermostats you can get. Some of them are on-off. So the thermostat that's on the small rack behind that you can't see is an on-off. And so you put a temperature probe on the heat, and what it does is it turns the electricity either on or off depending on the measured temperature compared to the temperature you want it. So if it's a little too low, it turns it on for a while and then it turns it off. The thermostats on this rack and on that rack and down in the incubator are not on-off. They are voltage regulators. And so instead of just turning it on and off, they lower the voltage going to the heat tape. So the heat tape's always on. So you don't get, with that rack, it'll go up to 91, 92, and then it'll turn everything off and get down to 86, and then you go back up. So it does this. For these 2 racks, it does that. It flutters around the exact temperature you want. We say it's difficult to take care of snakes in general. I'd like one, but I'm not sure about feeding, heating, etc. As a pet, Daniel, no. And it depends on what kind of snake you have. There's a lot of work here, but only because I've got 56, well, soon to be 57 snakes next week. And I still have time to do all the other stuff that I'm doing. Arden and I have help, but I figure by the time we get to the 3rd rack, we would need to hire somebody to help. It's just too much. And with a collection this big, and with the rats and mice for breeding, we don't get to go on vacation together very often, and not for very long times. So, like, I'll go do my convention stuff, and she'll take care of the animals. She'll go do her stuff. She's off right now. She's visiting family and doing some work. And so I'm taking care of everything. But a single snake, like, we feed once a week to almost all of them. Only about half of them will eat on any given week. So basically they're eating every 10 to 14 days, 7 to 14 days with an average of around 10. You don't have to feed a single pet quite that often. You can kind of keep it from getting too big. But I find that if you don't, feed them and keep their weight up, you're kind of almost being cruel. As far as the temperature thing, here's the big tips. Get yourself an enclosure that is big enough for the animal. Start it in an appropriate size container, enclosure, and be prepared to move it up to a larger enclosure as it gets bigger. Most important thing, they're only $20. I'll show you what this one looks like. You take it off. I can hold it. Well, I may not be able to get to the camera. Nope. But if you look for reptile thermostat on Amazon, you can find them for $20, and they will have a temperature probe, and it'll turn on and off, and you can get belly heat or a heat lamp, and then you can turn that on and off to modulate the temperature. Do not ever get the little round temperature thermometers that you stick on the glass in the aquarium. They're never accurate. They're completely freaking useless. They're not going to do anything to adjust the heat. And do not use any sort of heat pad without a thermostat. An on-off one is fine. The little $20 one's fine. The more expensive voltage regulating ones are even better. But you need to have a thermostat on there, because while they will self-regulate their temperature by going on and off of that pad, your snake can get burnt, or if it's too hot over there, they just won't ever go over there to where the temperature is. You'll need that. You'll need a hide. I'd highly recommend just going out and figuring out what kind of snake you want and looking at a variety of care sheets or video care guides for that species, because one of the best, come here, buddy, one of the best starter snakes on the planet are these African house snakes. They don't get very big. They don't get a whole lot bigger than this. And they are friendly. They are a joy to handle. They eat better than ball pythons. And yeah, they're relatively inexpensive. Matter of fact, Sabrina, I think we rescued her for like a $60 rehoming fee. A lot of the African house snakes, if you go in North Market and stuff like that, they're probably around 100 to 150 bucks from a reputable breeder, and you can get T positive and T negative albinos and a number of other stuff. I love them to pieces. We got 2 of them for free that somebody just gave us, and we like them so much that we're going to start breeding them as well. Probably the number 2 starter snake is going to be a ball python, and you have between 250 and 300 morphs plus all the combinations. I mean, I just showed you 50 some odd, or about 50 snakes. Everything from, come here. This is Honeycomb. She is an inchy champagne het pied girl. You can see her pattern, and that coloration that's the champagne coloration. And then Inchy adds a little bit to that pattern. She is really super chill and very pretty. Go ahead and get back in your tub. You've got that, and then there's some, like here's Chandra. Come here, girl. Chandra is a super orange dream Inchy. And so, I mean, you can see the coloration and the pattern on her and how much different she is from Honeycomb. They're the same snake. They're both ball pythons. That's just 2 of the genetic morphs, and then there's the darker genes. Pewter, cinnamon, leopard, blackhead, black pastel, mahogany. Yep. So you can get quite a wide variety of them. So probably house snakes in my number 1 recommended, then ball pythons, then probably corn snakes and hognose snakes, at least of the ones I have. There are also boas. And you can get red tails and imperators and all kinds of stuff. All right, let me get caught up. But no, Daniel, I don't think it's difficult. It's just some stuff to learn. No, people are in randomized. All right, you've convinced me. Good job. Now I'm going to have to research why they have so many different coloring, because people have been breeding them for, these are the best, these used to be considered the best reptile snake pet, because they don't do a lot. They are not prone to biting, but they can bite. Anything with a mouth can bite. They ball up as a defense mechanism, which is how they got the name ball python. They But as soon as we discovered a couple morphs, people started importing tons of them and then going through all the snakes and saying, okay, here, let me show you. Here's Bebe. Come here, girl. Now, she is heterozygous for a couple different traits, but visually, she looks just like a normal ball python. And so, visually, this is what the wild type ball python looks like. Let me see if you can get a good shot of her head there with that nice line going across the eyes. Eventually, people started to notice, hey, some of these snakes have more blushing, like this flame going upside, or they have more white here, or the pattern, how much of a dorsal stripe is there? How many of the little the side pattern things are called alien heads or keyholes? Usually they're called keyholes if they have one dark spot, like this one right here, and they're called alien heads if they have two normally. Sometimes they have none. Some of them, but they rarely on the normal form, rarely do they go up and across the dorsal like this. And so when you started seeing certain pattern things like that, people would get them and breed them. People would also notice slight color variations of, wow, you're a little jumpy today. This one's a little, wow, you're really jumpy today. Go on. This one's a little more red. This one's a little more yellow. This one is a little darker. And then you just do selective breeding over and over and over again for decades that we've been doing this now. And we've identified, I don't know how many are recognized at Morph Market, but it's between 250 and 300, I think. Now I'm going to have to research yet why they have different color. And that's it. So 2 hours and 12 minutes of live streaming to answer some questions and weigh almost every snake in our collection. There are 4 downstairs in quarantine that didn't get weighed today. But like I said, we'll weigh them next week when we do ultrasounds. And when Arden gets back, we'll probably do some more live streaming. I know that I'm going to be live streaming for Epic Loots from my desk, and I'm going to be doing some introduction to snake genetics stuff. So, Killa, if you want to know that, you can tune in and watch that, because I'll be giving the basics of just genetics in general, talking about dominant, codominant, incomplete dominant traits as well as recessive traits, and then giving, I'll work through and talk about allelic combinations like the superstripe complex, the black-eyed Lucy complex, and things like that, and then giving examples of what you can produce. But thanks, everybody. I am going to end the stream and go finish my tea and relax. But I really appreciate everybody hanging out. And by the way, if you didn't watch this live, I just decided to go live for fun. Because, hey, we got a channel and I want to do some content. If you notice anything that you have tips on or questions about our breeding process or what our breeding plans are, feel free to comment down below and like and subscribe and all that stuff. But I'll be going live with more genetic stuff as well as some of the shopping that I do when I go on to Craigslist and Morph Market to see what I can find. Almost none of these snakes came from Craigslist. All of our major breeders came from reputable breeders. As a matter of fact, the Orange Dream Piebald Het Lavender that I've got downstairs came originally from Canova, but I got it from somebody else. There we go. Now the camera. Now at the end of the stream, I actually have the camera level. So congrats on figuring that out. But thanks everybody for hanging out. We'll see you next time. And you can go to Linktree and do Epic Loot Exotics, and you can find our Instagram and everything else there. It might also be in the description down below. Bye-bye.